Suddenly, to my surprise,
He did the mash,
he did the monster mash.
the monster mash.
It was a
you can't
graveyard
fake that song.
smash.
He did the mash,
It caught on and flash.
he did the mash.
He did the monster mash.
Hey, I'm just happy I got the microphones working. If you would have seen me earlier today at 2 p.m., dude, I was like 5 minutes into my show to find out I didn't even have volume going on. But guess what? Hold up, wait a second. Hey, everybody! It's Halloween Eve! Welcome to another episode of Conspiracies and Mysteries. And you see the handsome guy across from me, Troy Whitworth. Thanks for joining me, brother.
Sure. It's fun.
Yeah, fun?
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to come in costume, but I felt that wearing this big orange, like I'm a construction cone on two legs.
You're the great pumpkin Charlie Brown. Is what you are.
Hey, how's everybody doing out there? Are you familiar with today's topic? Don't you think it's appropriate that tomorrow being Halloween,
Yeah.
I don't think, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say this, I don't think a lot of people know the true origin of Halloween. What do you think about that?
No, they probably don't.
Here, I honestly just thought it was trick or treat,
Well, yeah.
trunk or
That's what we
treat.
all thought. Yeah.
And then, oh my goodness, I started learning. And this, ladies and gentlemen, this actually gets dark, which
Yeah,
is so
it
crazy. Because here, on the drive here, I should have left sooner. You already told me you were here.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I haven't even left yet. But on the way here, I seen a bunch of kids trick-or-treating already.
Yeah, I did
And
too.
I got to apologize on air. I got a confession to make. You know, I got to be accountable and honest here, Troy. I wanted to stop
Did get some treats.
to get some candy. But I didn't want to do it the regular way. Like knock on a door because I
You
didn't
don't
have a
need
costume.
any more treats, dude.
He's so right. But I saw these girls doing a TikTok in their costumes, and I thought maybe if Dorky Dad got in the TikTok with them, you know, I can get some candy. You know, I know that sounds terrible.
Probably, yeah.
But in point, folks, that's what I'm saying. Is we got a podcast. Some of you are probably out there trick-or-treating because it was till 8 p.m., but here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping they're tuning in. They fed the kids. They did the trick or treat.
Yes.
They're scheduling the dentist appointments for the month to come, and now they're tuning in to another episode of Conspiracies and Mysteries. Okay. Now I know why some people don't want to be a guest. So let me ask you this, Troy.
Okay.
Do you know how Halloween originated, or do you have a theory on how it originated?
Halloween.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what lens you're looking through.
Okay.
I mean, Halloween, I guess, started way back with the Druids, who were the priests of the Celts, and the Druids were kind of interesting. They were they wore a lot of hats. They were into science. They were into wisdom, philosophy, and they didn't have to pay any taxes, by the way. Which so they were like
So are you hinting for
an
a new
elite
topic
class
to come up? Okay. Okay.
But they were also pagans. I mean, they were polytheists. They believe in several gods.
So just really fast, I won't interrupt.
Okay.
So right now we're bringing religion into the picture, right? Okay, because
Yeah.
and I apologize for
I
interrupting,
don't know,
but
I don't know if paganism is a religion.
is
but
it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Is it a cult? I guess what I'm trying to say is there's such a sensitive topic about Halloween. Now, again, I want to say commercialized, who we are today as Americans, that if you didn't have a faith in your life, if you didn't have religion in your life, you would honestly just believe that it's about getting costumes and trick-or-treating, right?
Right.
So what I want to do...
And we both have kids. I mean, we all took them trick-or-treating.
So here's what I want to do, since I'm not good at the IT. If I get quiet... sorry on that one, someone's calling. It wasn't Jimmy John, so I'm not taking it. But anyways, I'm going to go up... ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring a picture up to the camera. So I want to tell you, there's a lady every day standing out there. For any of you people who live local... here in Alton, but you said you've seen her in Bethalto.
She was out in Bethalto once.
So let's just say Madison County. There's a gal who stands on the side of the road, and every day she's praising Jesus. That's just what I want to say. Probably a different topic every time. But anyways, so today I'm driving in, and I see her. But guess what? knowing my podcast at 2 p.m. called You're Beautiful is about a relationship with Jesus, okay? And then tonight, knowing that it's Halloween Eve, that we were going to talk about Halloween, I'm going to show them this picture. So if I get quiet a second, y'all, I'm just walking up to the camera. All right, now that I'm back at the microphone, you guys see that it says, would Jesus participate in Halloween? So I know we really haven't got into the history yet because I've actually did a little bit of research and all. But when you start talking about pagan, like I said, I don't know if that's a religion or a cult or what have you. But what I didn't know, and I'm just going to call it Dumb and Down Brian. I'm still learning. Man, I would never have thought Halloween had a history of, I almost want to say, division. Like there's a fine line of division. Am I saying this properly?
Yeah.
Okay. So what they're saying is in belief, and I'm not calling anybody out, okay? By the way, everybody, I met Pamela. She is a sweetheart. I mean, she really is out there expressing her beliefs, right? So, for example, like on this podcast, Troy, we say it. What Troy has to share in his opinion, my views and opinions, they might not necessarily reflect RiverBender.com and its affiliates, but bringing back up to Pamela, here's a lady who's out there praising Jesus and praising what she believes in. So some of you might not agree with it, just like the sign she was holding up. But man, I got to tell you something. I turned around, I parked, I approached her cautiously and said, hey, man, I approach you. Anyways, we spent a couple minutes talking, and I'm kind of getting off the topic of Halloween here for just a moment. But she thanked me for my cautious approach. Mm-hmm. And while we were there, people were honking, hey, what's up, Trust? Thanks to those who said, hey, dorky dad, got recognized. But anyways, she was telling me how she gets harassed, ridiculed. So whether the message comes out or not,
she still does it.
I still want to throw a shout out to Pamela, because how many of us, again, off the topic of Halloween, believe in something, but we don't have the cahoons to be out there.
Yeah, I mean, she could come up with something that would be a little more pleasing to the masses. If she held a sign up that says, I love marijuana, she'd probably get a lot of thumbs up.
It'd be a traffic jam.
You mentioned Jesus. That's like throwing acid in the eyes of a lot of these people out there nowadays.
Well, and again, so any of you that know me, I have a podcast at 2 p.m. It's called You're Beautiful. So I'm not a hypocrite as I speak to you, as I've shared with you. I don't know the Bible. I'm learning the Bible through the guest, but I'm not going to deny the fact that I have an infectious love for Jesus.
But I want to say something about that, okay? How many times have you ran across people, and they're quoting this and they're quoting that? The Bible is a mysterious piece of work, okay? It really is. And so for people, I think I look at it differently every time I read it. Sometimes something else would come out and grab me. I didn't think about it that way.
Different interpretation.
Yeah. So
that's why I wanted to bring this up.
Just because it's just like, I'm a college graduate. I got a bachelor's degree, but that was back in the 80s. I probably forgot most of that stuff. Yeah. So don't let any of that bother you. There's a point there's a part in the Bible where one of his disciples say, ask Jesus, how are we going to get into heaven? What should we do to get into heaven? And Jesus says, you have to treat it like a child. Okay. You have to come into it like a child. Okay. So the fact that you have this interest, this starting new, like almost like this child,
sure.
That's exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
I appreciate that because I hold myself to a level, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. Right. But that's why now we're going back to Halloween, ladies and gentlemen. But that's why, to me, it's a very sensitive topic. It is. That's why I stopped. Yeah. Because what's the odd on today, Thursday?
Well, good for her
that we're going to talk Halloween, knowing that I've got 2 podcasts in the same day. But when I read that sign, that's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Because and I did. I so apologize. I interrupted you, asking you about the origin of Halloween.
It just depends on who you're looking at. I mean, I know the Catholics deemed it All Hallows Eve, I believe, and then the next day, or All Souls Day, I think follows on November
Saints
1st.
Day.
All Saints Day. That's right.
Hey, I did a little homework.
So it just depends on what you're looking at. But the Druids, I mean, they did this hundreds of years before Jesus was born. Okay, so if the Catholics authored anything, it was this spin on it. Okay, which, you know, I'm not Catholic, so a lot of their customs or whatever, I take. Yeah, I don't know about that, but I think they did a good job on it. Okay, because it's supposed to be for a remembrance of the people that have passed before us.
Right, so that's where we get the fine line. So
it's actually now if you focus on that on Halloween, prayers for the people that have passed, prayers for the people in purgatory, which I'm not Catholic, so I don't believe that. But anyway, it's a good thing. That what they did was a good thing for that. Originally I think it was.
So I want to go deeper.
Well, before you go deep, I want to tell you it was originally I think in May.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to bring up.
May 13th.
All Saints Day in May.
Yeah,
that's exactly where I was going at,
his
bro.
name was Boniface, I think.
Stealing my thunder, but I love it. So I actually want to go back. Okay. I actually want to go further back than that. Okay, so when I'm driving, I see things. I'm always looking at cars first and foremost, and well, it's a tie that and restaurants. But anyways, moving forward, on my way home, there's a church out there, and a lot of times I read things, but I don't understand what I'm reading. This one had something about harvest. Mm-hmm. So when I was looking up Halloween, it goes back to the origination of the harvest.
That's right.
Feast or famine.
That's right.
So
they had to appease their gods.
Yeah. Well, and see, I didn't
the
know
gods
that
of the harvest.
Okay, and I'm glad you brought that up because as I was doing my reading, church religion per se didn't get adapted.
Christianity hadn't come along yet.
Okay, so we're going somewhere then. Yeah. I want to say like the 1500s, but I was reading prior to it being adopted by churches incorporating it. It really had a lot to do, again, harvest. Mm-hmm. That the farmers or whomever may be harvesting, that if they didn't have a good harvest, the crops would die, and that's their it's feast or famine.
That's right.
And that so, ladies and gentlemen, as I wear this big old pumpkin suit, harvest. So I want to share. And listen, if I'm wrong, comment. Okay, if you don't want your name to be seen on the comments, you can go to Trust on RiverBender at gmail.com and say, you big pumpkin, you got it wrong. And I'm okay with that because that's how I learned. But I'm gonna just say that early part in the show, 13 minutes into the show, Halloween was originated based on the harvest.
Yeah, the Druids and these Celtic priests were, I think they were polytheistic. Okay, they believed in several gods. They were pagans. Okay, they were pagans. First and foremost, they were pagans, and they believed that you had to appease the gods. So, time of the harvest or whatever, they also thought that November 1st was somewhere between the halfway mark between I think the summer solstice, the fall equinox and the end of the year. Okay, but they brought the idea of the Wicker Man. Okay. Now, you familiar with the Wicker Man?
Right, stories around the bonfire.
Right. Bonfire, by the way, means bonfire. So what they would do is they would take dead animals, and throw them into this bonfire, okay? But this Wicker Man concept came from the Druids, where they would take cats, black cats, I think, and humans, and sacrifice them to their harvest gods, to make sure they would have a nice harvest for the next year. Okay?
So sacrifices.
Yeah, human sacrifice. Okay, and I think that's where a lot of this Halloween, dark side of Halloween comes into play, and I think maybe that's one reason why the Catholics had to kind of sanitize it a little bit. But I looked up this stuff where I don't know if you're familiar with Anton LaVey. He was the founder of the Satanic Church out in California. The guy was kind of a flake, but he said he was glad that Christians allowed their children one day out of the year to worship Satan.
Okay, so I didn't know the name, but I actually did read something about a guy celebrating that we're allowing this to happen. So I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe I just didn't know the name, but yeah, I did read that.
And then I've heard where
like that's an opening.
it's the most sacred day with Satanists. So I actually went and looked into the satanic calendar. Okay, and it's really not. I mean, I don't know what is, but that wasn't it. Okay, so these people that use these, what I call scare dogma, okay, a lot of religions use that too, but saying that, I'm a former Satanist, and they that day they sacrificed the most children all over the world, and so I tried to look some of this up, and I just can't find it anywhere.
It's probably the Google that you don't approve of. You need some
Well,
paperback.
it was interesting because we're talking about the Druids. Okay, I got to read a book about the Celts about 6 months ago. It was so deep, I quit reading it. Okay, and they were crazy. Even Roman soldiers feared, these people because they were wild. They were just crazy. Okay.
Those are the people I fear the most.
Yeah, so when they start talking about the Druids, okay, the I noticed on Google it says, well, some of this stuff may be biased because it's, I don't know if Caesar or the Romans had written about how they acted, so it may be biased. I thought, you know what, if that's the only documents we have, how do you know if it's biased or not? I mean, is everything biased? And if it is biased, does that mean you just discount it?
So, again, here's what's crazy. 15 minutes into the conversation, when I hear the title Halloween, I'm thinking there's candy. And
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, against Troy's best wishes, I did not wear my Nacho Libre and Fred
was hoping
Flintstone
you
costume.
would.
I
Yeah.
did have a full body outfit of Spider-Man that don't fit, but you could see that on TikTok.
Yeah, you need to be in a cape. The way you fly around.
But what I'm getting at is, look at this. We're 15 minutes in, and this is not the conversation that I thought, as a normal listener, you'd be tuning in. We'd be talking about parade routes and where the trunk or treats are going. But really, there is a true history and origin.
Yes.
And here, before we go to a commercial
Even the
break,
trick or treat was Druid.
Before we go to a commercial break, so we'll have a little questionnaire. Well, I'll ask Troy the question, even pause to see if you guys know. So when we have these rituals today, which is, you talked about the stick man, what have you?
Yeah, the Wicker Man.
The Wicker Man. When we look at decorations today, let's just say an animal. What do you think was one of the first animals that kind of associated to Halloween? Do you have an idea? Anybody?
I'm going to say an owl or a cat.
Okay, so we're close. A bat.
A bat, sure.
Okay, because you're sitting around the bonfire. It's nighttime.
Yeah.
Insects are attracted to fire, light.
Yeah.
And then these people
The
sitting
bats.
around the bonfire. So you're already sitting around in the dark. You're already concerned about your harvest. Your mind's going crazy. And bats. So that was my question before the commercial. Hey, listen, y'all. Just because I didn't wear a costume means that I didn't wear one. Don't run. Stay tuned. We're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to dive into some more Halloween.
At Marquette Catholic High School, tradition is more than a word. It's a way of life. From championship athletics to community service, from lifelong friendships to faith-filled values, Marquette students carry a legacy of excellence. Together, we build a stronger community on the field, in the classroom, and beyond. Marquette Catholic, where tradition meets tomorrow. Visit marquettecatholic.org and see why Marquette is the right choice for your family.
You won't find a better health club than Nautilus Fitness Center. More cardio, more free weights and equipment, more classes, a swimming pool, and more. If you're serious about your health and want to make a change, then stop thinking about it and visit Nautilus Fitness Center on Industrial Drive in Alton. Don't fall for the hype you get from the other health clubs. Nautilus is the Riverbend's premier health club. Has been for years and will be for years to come. Get to Nautilus Fitness Center and get started on a healthier new you.
That's not a costume? Oh my gosh.
Now you know. Hey, listen. Now you know why you never see my wife out with me in public. You know, even like today when I stopped by and I spoke to Pamela, there's no way she would have let me stop. You know. So hey, I like to have
Something
fun.
reminds me of when you start doing the dance. It reminds me of Rerun from What's Happening.
Oh, that was.
Fred Berry, he was great, wasn't he?
Hey, us big guys, we still got the moves, broski. Getting back to Halloween. So you just heard it from both Troy and I. We were talking about the origin, and I want to tie that to harvest. And again, I bring that up because on my ride home at the church, I see harvest, not really knowing what that means, because just because I know Jesus doesn't mean I know the word. And now I started seeing how, like with Pamela holding up that sign, you know, would Jesus approve? But, you know, I know that I'm skipping a lot of a timeline here, but I don't know how to word this properly. Let's say a lot of churches today have trunk or treat, okay? So I could tell you that I love Jesus, and I could tell you that I approve of the trunk or treats. Does that make me a bad guy?
It makes you. I don't think it makes you a bad guy. I mean, you know, I used to go to a church close to me, and I quit going because they have a Christmas tree in their church at Christmas time, and they have mistletoe. Well, those are two pagan things.
So if I had a mistletoe right now, big boy?
Oh,
hey,
man.
we're live and we're on the air. But, you know, when you say that, though, you know, guess what? You're human. It's flesh life. I believe that you're allowed your opinion to make those choices.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we, you know, the thing that really concerns me nowadays, because we've taken our kids trick or treating, okay, and you know, I don't think it's harmful to do that, but I think the more times you expose young children to scary things, I think it can lead to, you know, man, I used to have horrible nightmares about scary things, you know.
Which I think started back in the 70s when cinema really started portraying.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Right? Halloween movie.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th, which is not directly to Halloween. But, you know, it was actually just on the news today. You were talking about that. Since when did Halloween, you know, and costumes start getting so dark? I mean, that was just on the news today.
I think when parents started to get into it, I mean, honestly, I see this depressing trend where the parents are getting into this stuff, and it's, you know, it's. I don't know. When I go into Lowe's to buy lumber and I see this gigantic ghoul leaping out at me or something, I'm thinking, you know, I think there's something wrong with that.
So when it goes to conspiracies, we have a lot of talk about conspiracies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I think you'll hear me reply, follow the money.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Don't I say that in
Oh,
conspiracies?
yeah.
So guess what I'm saying about Halloween?
Oh, it's a
Do you
money
know
maker, sure.
Halloween is the number 2 profitable holiday, second to Christmas.
Yeah.
So Christmas lights, Christmas decorations. Again, watch the news. How many thousands of dollars are people displaying in their yards? So again, folks, I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing, but it is the spooky side of things when I want to use the word commercialize. When we commercialize Halloween, which, matter of fact, let's just jump into that. Trick or treat, right? Mm-hmm. So going back to the origin of where not just religion, let's say that, but there was a guy, and I couldn't remember who his name was. I apologize, but he did bad things. Well, as Halloween became more of a spooky, specular, what have you, it was bad. It was bad for our country. Matter of fact, bad overseas, to where the way they celebrated this night was this is what I read, soap handrails, soap the steps in front of your house, to where when you were a regular person, you would slip on the handrail, or you would slip. More or less, it was destruction. So
who did this?
So people back in the day. I'll have to look up the timeline in the next commercial. But anyways, fast forwarding it, now we're talking about candies and parades, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to say right around the 1930s is when I think you could track back one of the first parades. They said, hey, we have to stop, which I call the purge, but we have to stop. We have to stop that if this is the one day of the year where people feel like they have the freedom to be destructive and do all this mischief, hey, this is a bad path.
Mm-hmm.
So let's change. And again, I want to say back in the 1930s, I believe was the origination of parades where they started doing it annually. But then there was groups of people starting to do more of the treat side of things to kind of change what historians or people who were back then, they were actually afraid of that night.
Well, the Druid, this was all pagan god appeasement. Okay. I think in the days of the Druids, they would, the trick or treat, I guess, would be where they would have a banquet for their gods. Okay. And after their banquet, they would dress up in ghoul outfits like dead people.
Sure.
And get maybe these spirits to follow them out of town and away from their houses.
Where costumes originated from.
Right. So it's pagan god appeasement. It really at its central that's what it started as.
Well, not only that, but they also said that that's when souls became alive. But because people were in costumes, they could be hidden.
Right.
Behind these costumes.
Exactly.
So again, ladies and gentlemen, you just think it's a bunch of two goofballs, which we are, on this podcast. But there is so much history behind Halloween that a lot of us today just believe, hey, let's go to the store or homemade this costume. Let's go win a costume contest. Let's take out Johnny and Susie to, and then wait for them to go to bed so Dad can have some candy. Just saying that for a friend. But think about that, like what you're saying, because that is the concept of why people wear masks.
Yeah,
and costumes.
Yeah, I mean,
the dead come alive and they're able to walk amongst us.
Right, and the pagans believe that this time of year, the veil between alive and dead gets very thin, and that's why this night was,
So if you're not spooked out now, tomorrow's actually Halloween. Hey, by the way, Riverbender, CJ with the Daily News, annually, they're out there at the Alton Parade. They do a fantastic job. So if you can't be out there in presence, tune in right here on RiverBender.com. CJ does an amazing job. But going back to Halloween and our topic, love you, CJ. Love you, John. Think about that. Well, you just an everyday trick or treat. But now we're sharing this story with you, and I doubt any of you would. But if you see someone creepy because the costume and it makes up for it, now is your mind starting to wonder, is that the dead walking upon us?
Yeah, I mean, anytime someone puts on a mask, and I keep going back to what is that Stanley Kubrick movie where they wore the masks and it was deadly scary. Eyes Wide Shut. Did you ever watch that movie?
No, that was Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it was the same movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's another whole story that we could talk about.
Another episode.
I wanted to tell you real quick about
please do.
the jack-o'-lantern. Okay.
Okay.
According to legend, this Irish drunk couldn't get into heaven because of his drunkenness, and he couldn't get into hell. He tried to con the devil, couldn't get into hell either. So he walks this earth with a pumpkin lantern that it's visible only on Halloween. So that's what I read about the jack-o'-lantern. I want to talk about.
Hey, while you're on the jack-o'-lantern, can I bring something up?
Yeah.
Because I'm from upstate New York. And as a
you
child,
really? What part of? Really?
Monticello. Not many people have heard about that.
I know where. I was born in Buffalo.
Oh, okay. Well, you're the big city, and I was just a Hoosier out there. The only thing I could really tell you about Monticello was the racetrack, and Dirty Dancing was filmed only like an hour away from there.
Really?
That's the highlights. Yes.
Cool.
And I was born there. But when you bring up Halloween, and I was probably 5 or 6, but this is crazy because until I was studying for tonight's episode, I never put 2 and 2 together. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I can't make this up other than saying this. My mom did tell me around that age I did get hit with a baseball bat during the day in the middle of practice. But I'm telling you, and I can't make this up, if you could jump into my mind, lie detector, test everything. But Sleepy Hollow.
Oh,
so when you're talking about jack-o'-lantern, okay, back in that area, was the Headless Horseman.
Right.
So when you had brought up the jack-o'-lantern, he was headless, but they would say he would hold, to light the way. And I don't know where Sleepy Hollow is compared to upstate New York, Monticello. I'm telling you, I saw him.
Was this after he got hit in the head?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, that
So I
makes
did
sense.
want to disclose that, okay? But for just some reason, as a childhood memory, how would I think of something like that at such a young age?
Well,
put it down and study about wow, I was there, I seen that.
You are the international man of mystery. I got to tell you.
Riz.
It's
Go ahead.
short for
So
charisma, but I just
interrupted
found
you.
that out.
I interrupted you.
Well, listen. When you're a kid, isn't it a little fun to get scared? I mean, I think that's what the draw is when you're a kid. Is
If
to
you
be a
own
little.
stock in Depends while everybody pisses their pants, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, yeah, maybe. But I think it's.
Stock tip.
I think that's why a lot of people go to scary shows or whatever. When you're a kid, you like to get scared, and that may be the draw. What I don't understand, and I'm wondering now. I was born in '63, so I'm on the old side. But how? I don't know what compels older, like adults, to go to Lowe's and buy these great big demonic-looking things and putting them in the yard. I wonder what a kid thinks when he sees that. Because that wasn't going on when I was a kid. So this is a whole different level here. And I don't know if they have Christmas parties nowadays where people drink. Have they ever thought about why you can go to get beer, and along with beer, that there's the advertisement is spirits. Okay, where do they think the spirits comes from? Where do they think gin is in some religions a demon? Well, people drink gin, and that there are these pagan Halloween parties. So I mean, I don't know how it got so popular. But I would like to have a conversation with this gal about her Jesus sign because
So if Pamela's watching, we're calling you on to the show, Pamela. That's what Troy's saying. Also, on that note, I want to throw a shout out to Christina and Hoover Harvey. Back when I had the bar, we actually opened up this time around last year, so October, and hey, let's get some people into the bar. Let's have a costume contest. Let's have a Halloween party. And well, the kitchen's not going to be open. We don't celebrate Halloween. So again, I'm like, what are you talking about, man? This is like party time. Let's go. But because I was uneducated about the history of Halloween, I was like, what? I was just business minded. Okay. Right. Commercializing business. Why won't you be open? But and I reached out to her today. Who am I to judge? After meeting Pamela, when I saw that sign, I'm like, Christina, I sent her the picture of Pamela. I'm like, oh my God, I remember you talking about this. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this podcast doesn't mean Brian Trust, Troy Whitworth, we all have it together and it's right, but I'm just telling you there's something deeper than just trick-or-treat Halloween.
I think a lot of people think it's harmless to go about these things, and maybe so. I mean, we're not Druids anymore. But I want to tell you real quick a story. I got a friend of mine, Chris, if you're listening. We have a mutual friend. And so he was asked, this mutual friend, if he goes dresses up or anything. And this guy immediately, his face went blank, and he's just staring at my friend. And he says, we don't worship Satan at our house. We worship the harvest, or we celebrate the harvest or whatever. Of course, he's not, I'm thinking maybe he's standing with a pitchfork like the beginning of Green Acres. He doesn't do any of that, okay? So he doesn't celebrate the harvest, okay? I think he probably just watches TV. But for him to go so viciously at my friend, and he tried to tone it down and say, well, I'm just talking about if no, we don't worship the devil. I guess what I'm saying is my position is I don't think people ought to beat each other over the head with Halloween, okay? It is up to the parent how they're going to raise their children, okay? And these well-intentioned do-gooders or whatever they want to call themselves, they're going to beat people like this guy I was just telling you about, probably just need to shut up. And that's just my opinion.
Well, it's going to go off topic here, but I can appreciate that, especially when people talk politics. How many times do you have it? You got a slew of friends. Mm-hmm. Some politics comes up. You speak your opinion on your own personal social media page.
Right.
And the next thing you know, the person you know for 30 years, you're no longer friends because
ghosted
your
you.
views
Right.
were different. So I can appreciate, again, as we talk about Halloween and trunk or treats, and I'm going to go specific, trunk or treat on a church parking lot. Okay. So and again, if I'm using the wrong verbiage on this, I apologize in advance. So I'm going to say commercialized. But I, too, at Trust Family Auto Sales and Riverbender, we had trunk or treat, and it was beautiful. Because the way that I looked at it, now I'm going to admit, back then I still didn't know the origin and the history, religion. But a lot of people, when we speak about that today, I'm going to actually say it, and they'll share with it. Can we stop being so dark about the topic?
Right.
And what if we use the night to be a community of love?
Right. Well, I mean, I think that the Catholics got behind that idea with, changing the narrative a bit to where we need to reflect. I think one of the things I read about was that to focus on the latter things, the things that are going to come. Maybe we need to ponder our own, existence, our own mortality and that sort of thing in this time. So I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
Well, Mexican heritage. So let's talk about something very similar and close to Halloween. I think it's actually November 3rd, the Day of the Dead. But there's a huge difference when you use the word veil, the separation of. They are celebrating the dead, if I'm pronouncing this right, opposed to how Halloween was trying to gift the evil of the dead. But again,
I think that's Catholic influence.
Coincidentally, it's all right there. Halloween, November 3rd, All Saints Day. I mean, I thought it was so cool that you brought up May. Who would have ever thought the month of May was tied to Halloween? Know? So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're tuning in, and it's not just because of my gorgeous pumpkin outfit that I got here, the good looks of Troy Whitworth, we're actually talking some good, interesting information about Halloween.
Yeah, and I don't know if, I think about this a lot. I think, do symbols change over time? I'm trying to think if they do or not, and maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I also wonder if symbols can change. I wonder if these holidays or traditions or rituals can evolve a little bit, because we are not offering people in a wicker man anymore. The Druids, a lot of them eventually became Christians, a lot of these Celtic priests. So I think things always evolve.
Well, when you say symbols, I wanted to bring one up, not so much like a symbol on our last episode, but going back to that era that we speak of, that was a big season for witches.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to the harvest.
Talk about
so
the
two
Wicca
things
here.
when I think of a witch. Again, let's talk about accessories. Again, wrong verbiage here. But when you think of a witch, what's a couple things that you think affiliate or associate with a witch?
A broom.
Okay, now great. That's one.
A pointy hat.
But what?
A pointy hat.
The other one was going to be a cat. Okay.
Yeah.
So just briefly on some of the readings of the truth, but one of them I found very interesting. Cats like brooms, so the cat was always around the broom. But the broom, I'll just say, instead of trying to ask you, let's go back to the harvest. They actually said, so when we see, the memes of the witches riding the brooms, they actually said that the broom was transportation around the harvest to do something with the harvest.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Folks, I'm not
I didn't know
listen, if I'm wrong, I'm telling you, comment. Trust on RiverBender@gmail.com, or just do it right on our Facebook page. There's only so much knowledge I can fit in this head other than maintain all the food specials that it's Friday. So, it's just seeping out over here.
Well, if you're an evil person and Halloween gives you a creative license to go out and do some kind of debauchery, I would say Halloween's bad.
Yes.
If it makes you reflect on the people that have gone before you and your own mortality and things like the later things, I think is what they call it. That's good, But I'd like to talk about my experience with a Ouija board and a Wiccan
All right, well,
before this is over.
Let's go ahead and get that in before the next commercial break. Let's go.
You're a car guy. You can appreciate this. My first car that actually had a heater in it was a 1980 Ford LTD. And I bought it from a guy for like $400. I loved that car. Had a rod knocking the whole time, but the heat was heat, and I loved it.
Long wheelbase, comfortable ride.
Oh, yeah, man. So anyway, I got married, and I saw this old guy that had a white one that was just up the street, and it was beautiful. Kept it garage. I think he threw it under my nose just because he knew I wanted the car. Okay, so he'd drive down my street real slow. And tried to buy it, not for sale. Anyway, so 10 years later, I'm going to work, and I see that car at this old house. And I thought, man, should I go up and find out about it? Because I knew it was the same car. And so I went up and asked the gal, I said, do you want to sell this car? She said, I'll just give it to you. I said, really? So I told her the story about the guy with the car. And she said, yeah. She said, it's a mess. I said, there's no title to it, but if you want it. So I took it home, and as I'm cleaning it out, I realized that this person, these pictures of this woman and this child in it, and it was this woman's sister, okay? And so it was a mess. I don't know if they were living in it. I think they were living in the car. So I get it all cleaned out. There's no key to the trunk. I jimmy the trunk open later, and you know what was in the trunk? A Ouija board.
That's
Okay.
better than what my answer was going to be.
Well,
It's Halloween. I was going dark,
yeah.
bro, but go ahead.
So anyway, I realized at some point someone had played with a Ouija board. Okay, this gal was dead. This gal had died. And man, I freaked out when I saw that. I went over to the dumpster there in Morrow. I took a pair of pliers, and I didn't even touch it, and I threw it in the trash. Because when you're summoning demons, people think, well, it's not, whatever, baloney. It is, okay? I would, if you ever have one, I wouldn't let your kids use it, because I really believe you're summoning demons, okay? Anyway,
So not everything's meant to be commercialized.
well, listen, there's big money in the devil,
I was
okay?
just gonna say, they sell that
yeah.
Ouija boards at the stores.
Yeah, right. I mean, they're popular for a reason, and they're very old. I mean, it's an old thing, an oracle. But anyway, I want to tell you about this Wiccan witch that I knew. It's weird. I'm trying to just fast forward through all this. She was a gal that was always, she lived in her car, and I put her up for a little while at a hotel. Okay, then I get pulled over by the cops because they think I'm a drug dealer. I told you that story.
Yeah, you told me that story.
Yeah. But then anyway, she was, I had a falling out with her. And so she was very adamant very proud of being this Wiccan witch. Do you know she wound up burning alive?
No.
Okay.
You didn't tell me that part. You just told me about all the good
She
Samaritan
wound up
stuff that
burning
you did and
alive.
how you
Okay.
got
She was, so, I mean, I'm just telling you, I just think when you're flirting with the devil, you're flirting with the devil. The devil.
I don't think I want. I don't think I want any of that. So let's do this. Let's go to commercial break. We'll be right back. Hey, before we go to commercial break, another curious thing, ladies and gentlemen out there, on the Halloween of all the trick or treats, there's candy. Troy, what do you think the number one candy of choice is?
A potato.
What do you guys think? What is the number one candy? Matter of fact, I'm not going to answer. We're going to go to a commercial. So if you want to do your comments, and we'll check them later. But hey, just shut up. Go to a commercial.
I set the thermostat so my house would be warm when I got home from work, but the kitchen is still cool.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we stand behind every Linux system we sell.
My dealer said he'd take care of everything.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we understand everyone wants prompt, professional service.
Turns out it wasn't my furnace after all, just a little something blocking the vent.
Pretty smart dog if you ask me. For service you can count on, call Barrett Heating and Cooling.
Lennox. Innovation never felt so good.
At Landmark Realty, we're proud to serve the Riverbend area with offices in Godfrey and Jerseyville. Whether you're buying your first home or your forever home, our team is here to guide you every step of the way. And if you're ready to start your dream business, we can help you find the perfect commercial property. Visit us today at godfreylandmark.com. Landmark Realty, serving the Riverbend and serving you.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible, covering auto, home, business, and life insurance. Our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
'Cause it's witchcraft.
So she's coming back.
Wicked witchcraft.
Hey, they gotta know that during commercial.
And although I know it's strictly taboo,
You were walking like Shemp. I saw that in the Three Stooges.
Let's not even say walking dancing. Let's just say I was waddling. I was waddling like, hey, so unless you're a guest on your beautiful or Conspiracies and Mysteries, you really don't know the high energy of Trust, right? But at least I can keep Troy smiling and my guests smiling at all times. So, hey, before we get started back into the content, I asked you before we went to commercial break, what do you think is the number one candy of choice? And the drum roll, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Was it really?
Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, yeah. Oh, speaking of candy, I just heard this too. What do you think of candy corn? Because what I was told about candy corn, that was actually originated going back to the harvest. The candy corn was associated with the harvest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that.
I usually associate candy corn with, I don't know, the Cast of Deliverance when they smell, but, I don't know.
Great movie.
Yeah, it is.
Great movie. So where do you want to, when we come back, you said you wanted to jump on something. What are we jumping on?
I talked about the Wiccans and my Ouija board experience.
Okay.
And, I don't know. I guess the salient point here in all this is whether or not Halloween is good or bad, and I think we kind of covered it, did we? I mean, it depends on your perspective, what lens you're looking through.
I like the way you nailed it, yeah.
Because, you've got to have a worm in your head if you're really out there trying to inculcate your children into Satanism this time of year. And I don't know if that's happening. Of course, I don't hang with that crowd if it's at all happening, but I just don't see it. Do you?
Well, I think it comes to the parents. So, again, hopefully right now for the adults that are watching this episode, because I think a lot of our conspiracies and theories could be a little bit more mature than maybe the age group of 12 and under, I believe. But any topics that we talk about, whether it be religion, whether it be satanic, whether it be Halloween, or man, it was a pretty brutal episode last week on the John Benet Ramsey. Yeah. But I guess what I'm trying to get at, it comes down to us parents. I don't believe that we should rely on the church affiliates to educate our children. Now, I understand that, on Sundays or at church or Bible study.
That used to be the case, though.
Okay, well, right, but I really think it's up to us parents.
Right, it is.
Because
I agree.
If we're raising our kids, I would like to believe, now again, the word is the word, but a parent's interpretation is really the humility of teaching your kid between right and wrong. That's what I would like to believe. Yeah. And I think tonight's topic, in my eyes, I don't know if I would approach Presley, my 11-year-old, because some of this is dark, and I think kids mature faster than some, but I think, and this is, I don't want to say it's terrible of me, but right now, if their focus on Halloween is costumes, trick-or-treating, I want to say it again, community of love, like he just went to Zion, the church was putting on a really nice thing for the kids, and I want to say a very safe environment where it's costumes and it's joy and it's smile. Right. But to dive deep into the topics we're speaking of, man, I think that's a pop a top with the 15-year-old and hey, just by chance, do you know the true story of Halloween? And first of all, it's great bonding time with your child, but I'd much rather my kids hear stuff from me.
Right.
Than them interpret it differently. Yeah. So tonight could be a sensitive topic for young listeners.
It is. The celebration of Samhain that the Celtic priests were engaged in at harvest. You imagine what those children went through if they're actually watching a wicker man with human sacrifice and animal sacrifice, these live things burning. You imagine what those children went through. So trick or treating nowadays, pales by comparison.
Well, and I believe, like we talked about in the early 1900s, hey, we got to change things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like you're talking about. How mischievous was it to gloat and promote, hey, let's have these people fall on their front doorstep, because we soaked up the handles, or we, so, that whole trick or treat, I wanted people to have some history.
Yeah.
Trick or treat, hey, give me a treat. I don't need no trickery around here, So there was a lot of mischievous destruction with the history of Halloween.
I think the only thing that bothers me nowadays is this rise of really the parents getting into it, with all of these things, in the yards and stuff. I just don't get that at all. It is nothing. There's nothing Christian about that sort of thing. So again, I don't know if that means it's evil. I'm just saying that I just don't think it. I just don't get it. I mean, I just don't get it.
And again, here's what's cool: is I speak for everyone. Everyone's entitled to an opinion, because what I want to say is, and again, I'm not even saying that you would bash me, but because I didn't know the history, even though I call myself a Christian and I don't know the history, if I set some Halloween decorations out there, unfortunately...
No, I'm talking about these great big, huge, inflated things that jump out at you, and these big ghouls and bones and skulls in the yards. I don't understand that at all.
So again, we're going back to exactly what I watched on the news today. I would believe that's a fine line. Yeah. That you can celebrate Halloween with the decorations per se, not necessarily the knowledge and the history of, but that's exactly what the lady was talking about on the news.
Well, it's just like...
Since when do we flood our yards with horror? And again...
It's like Mardi Gras. A lot of people love going to Mardi Gras, but I would say it's kind of decadent, was it Fat Tuesday, where they load up and be as decadent as they can be because they know, was it Shrove? I can't remember.
So again, I'm embarrassed.
Then you have to atone for your behavior because you're going to have to be religious in some way. So I don't.
But that's where I'm embarrassed. I didn't know nothing about that about Mardi Gras, like Halloween. As a DJ, all I'm thinking about is beads and Jerry Springer. Let's go. I'm allowed to say that on air, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, here I am, who I tell you I love Jesus, but doesn't necessarily mean I know the history of some of the things that we celebrate. Folks, I'm holding myself accountable. I'm learning. So whatever comments you may have to share, hey, that's the only way I'm going to learn. If you tell me I'm fat, listen, I already know. Save the keyboard warrior for something else. But anyways, Troy.
Well, what do you think about Halloween? Don't give me just give me a cliff note. What do you think it's good, bad, indifferent, overexposure to your children? Gives people a creative license to partake in debauchery or evil? I mean, what's your take on it? So
prior to researching for tonight's episode, I would have told you, let's go. Now, again, the Jew that I am, I could say that because I am. If you guys can't tell, look at the side profile of the nose. The air is free, and give me your candy. I'll eat it for free, too. But anyways, getting back to what you were asking me, man, I got so off the darn topic, didn't I? So anyways, prior to that rightful knowledge, let's go. Now I'm not a fan of it from a very selfish standpoint, that dad's the one who's paying for the dentist bills and the groceries and, all that sugar. But yet, who am I to say that? Because when the kids go to sleep, I'm cherry picking the candy, But now that I dive into it more, I think that how would have I stopped on the side of the road today? If Pamela's out there every day and she said, would Jesus approve of Halloween? And now that I'm diving into things, I'm a little bit more curious, but I respect people's views. I respect people's opinions. Again, I'll never forget when I first got saved on our baseball team, the coach called me Pastor Trust. Okay, because I have this infectious love for Jesus. This is
a missionary.
But the very next weekend, I drank him under the table. So does that make me a bad guy, right? So I think what I'm trying to tell you is everything's opinion. Okay? Right. You want to call me a pastor? So be it. Look, I'm drinking water. If you could turn it into wine right now, I drink the wine, okay? That doesn't make me a bad person because I'm okay with myself. And it goes back to directly speaking to our children. If I'm telling you that I'm okay with all this stuff, well, then I'm okay with how I want to deliver the news to my kids. That's for me. and I hope, not just myself, but everybody else, I hope to address these topics prior to them getting different interpretations through social media.
I don't think that, I think mankind, and I know I'm getting general here, has an aversion towards rules. I don't think they like rules. I think that they certainly don't want to be told. I mean, I don't, it just, when you merge into a lane and your lane ends, but you act like the guy, he's honking you. It's like you don't apologize to him. You say, hey, you yell at the guy, and then when he pulls up next to you at the stoplight, you act like you're listening to the radio, right? But I'm just saying we don't like to be told things, and I think as a parent, you definitely don't want to be told how to raise your kid, right, wrong, or indifferent. Sure. But a thinking person might listen to somebody that's done a little homework on these things like what we've talked about, and think, I may have to revisit that because. I remember as a kid, when he first started to cuss, he'd say, oh, well, we can cuss because we really don't mean it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Troy.
Well, I don't know if that holds any water, you're still cussing. And so because you don't mean it, what difference does it make? You're still doing the same thing as someone that does.
Well, the reality is this. We're all going to fall short.
Yep.
Even with whatever our beliefs may be, we're all going to fall short, even when it comes to raising our kid, even when it comes to talking about the origin of Halloween, because I'm sure I could have butchered my interpretation, but that's the knowledge. But again, when it comes back to the kids and what do I think about Halloween, I think about this every day. Can I be a better person today than I was yesterday? And can I apply that to my children, even on a topic of Halloween?
Let me ask you this. Are you going to, because I wonder how many people that are not Catholic take this time of the year and do what the Catholics want you to do, is to pray for the people, the souls, and think about the people that have passed, and think about your own life and your ultimate end. I wonder how many people do that instead of, do you do that? I never did.
So I will tell you here recently on a totally different topic, and I like to speak their names because every time I say their names, that their memory's still alive with me.
Sure.
Ironically, all 4 years ago, and I got to speak fast because we're about over, Roger Chardon was a mechanic that worked with me. I think you met him, diehard Ford guy.
Yes, I did.
At the same time frame, a very good friend of mine, softball player, Tyler Timmons, and a buddy of mine, Caleb Ball, another softball player. All around the time of 4 years, I'll never forget, I went to Anna Marie Island down there in Florida, and I did something very random I don't do. I escaped like 5:50, 6 o'clock in the morning, drove to the beach, and why am I bringing this up?
You didn't take your clothes off, did you?
Stop, Philly. But what I do want to tell you is I did take a moment to reflect on their lives.
I see.
So I think in today's world that we're all too busy. We don't stop.
We're married to the world.
We're married to the world. We're married to the social media, and I think you brought up a very good, valid point. Do we stop? Do we reflect? And do we take time for ourselves?
I think as you get older, those days come.
Yeah.
So,
So when it comes to these holidays, I just want to say, and I said this earlier at 2 p.m. today, with a life so cruel, can you just stop and be kind? Do you really have to have religion?
You don't have to be a genius
to be a better person.
Listen, there's no genius in pointing to bad all the time, and I get tired of people doing that, pointing to bad all the time. Because it's easy. Give me a solution or a smile or something instead of problems all the time.
Well, it's so easy to cast the blame somewhere else. But hey, let's do this real fast. Before we conclude the show, Troy and I are cordially inviting you to be a guest on Conspiracies, Mysteries, and even though Halloween didn't fall on those two topics, the title's too long to say Myths and Legends. So listen, if there's anything that you'd like to talk about, you think the world needs to hear, you can find me, trustonriverbender@gmail.com, or go to our Facebook page that we just newly started, Conspiracies and Mysteries. Message us. We would love to invite you on this podcast. And if you don't want to be on the podcast, what topics would you like to talk about? Jamie Crane, I got you. So some of you have been reaching out, but we're asking you, I'm encouraging you, speak up, speak out.
Hey, you going to tell me what we're going to talk about next week?
Yes. Hey, 9/11.
Yes, we're going to talk about 9/11.
And I know we're running out of time, but listen, I'm telling you, mark it on your calendars,
We're doing a deep dive.
Deep dive on 9/11. Hey, I just want to tell everyone, I hope you learned something tonight. more importantly, I hope while you're eating your kids' candy that you take time and opportunity just to spend quality time with them.
Yeah.
We thank you for